Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of the day it is you're listening to this. You may hear some thunder in the background and all that. Getting ready to head out. It's like 3:30 in the morning. Um, Let me get this done. I gotta get this done. Uh, Storm woke me up, and I just couldn't get back to sleep. All this stuff is spinning around in my head, and I decided to just go ahead and write this and just get out there before I go get soaked to the core. All right, here we go. President Trump's accomplishments, separating fact from fiction. President Donald J. Trump, the 45th and now 47th President of the United States, has left an indelible mark on American politics through his leadership and policy decisions. His first term was filled with notable achievements, yet these successes were frequently met with a false and misleading narratives from the Democrats and the mainstream media. This Substack story dives into Trump's key accomplishments while exposing how his critics propagandized news stories to distort successes into failures. As he serves his second term, we'll also explore how his legacy continues to unfold despite ongoing efforts to undermine it. Economic growth, a booming economy, misrepresented. President Trump's successes. Before COVID-19 pandemic disrupted global markets, President Trump oversaw a thriving U.S. economy. By 2019, the employment rate had fallen to 3.5%, the lowest in half a century. African American and Hispanic unemployment rates also hit record lows. The stock market soared, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average climbing to unprecedented heights. President Trump's policies, including deregulation and tax incentives, fostered a business friendly climate that drove job creation and wage growth. The false narrative. Democrats and mainstream media often minimize these gains, claiming they were merely a carryover from the Obama era or focusing on wealth inequality to overshadow the broader prosperity. Predictions of an impending recession under President Trump's policies circulated widely but never came to pass pre pandemic. This selective framing ignored the real benefits felt by millions of Americans, painting a robust economy as a fluke rather than a triumph. Tax reform, tax reform, relief for Americans, not just the elite. President Trump's success in December 2017, President Trump signed the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, a landmark piece of legislation. It slashed the corporate tax rate from 3.5% to 21%, spurring investment and nearly doubled the standard deduction for individuals, putting more money back into the pockets of middle class families. Millions of Americans saw tangible tax relief, with businesses reinvesting savings into jobs and expansion. The false narrative. Critics, predominantly Democrats, insisted the tax cuts overwhelmingly favored the wealthy and corporations. The mainstream media amplified this by cherry picking data, suggesting the top 1% reaped the most benefits while downplaying how the top earners already shoulder a large tax burden. This skewed portrayal dismissed the widespread relief felt by everyday taxpayers, framing a popular policy as an elitist giveaway. Criminal justice reform, a step forward, not a stunt. President Trump's successes. The First Step Act, signed in 2018, was a bipartisan win for Trump. This criminal justice reform reduced mandatory minimum sentences for nonviolent offenders, leading to the release of thousands, and funded rehabilitation programs to lower recidivism, whatever you want to say, however you say it. It was a rare bridge across party lines, earning praise from some civil rights leaders as a meaningful advancement. The false narrative. While some acknowledged its value, many Democrats and media outlets branded it as inadequate or a cynical play for votes. Critics argued it didn't address deeper systemic issues, overshadowing its concrete results with a narrative of political opportunism. This undermined a genuine achievement by focusing on what it didn't do rather than what it accomplished. Foreign policy, brokering peace, not chaos. President Trump's successes. President Trump's foreign policy defied expectations with the Abraham Accords, normalizing relations between Israel and multiple Arab nations, a diplomatic feat unseen in decades. He also confronted China on trade imbalances and intellectual property theft, reshaping global economic dynamics. These moves showcased a strategic vision that prioritized American interests and regional stability. The false narrative. The mainstream media and Democrats frequently painted President Trump as an isolationist or diplomatic wrecking ball. His withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal was spun as reckless, ignoring Iran's destabilizing actions. The Abraham Accords were underreported or dismissed as anomalies, while his unconventional style was exaggerated to suggest incompetence. This propaganda obscured his role as a peacemaker and pragmatic leader. Immigration, security first, not hate. President Trump's successes. President Trump made immigration a cornerstone of his presidency, emphasizing border security. His administration constructed sections of the southern border wall and enacted travel ban targeting high-risk countries. These policies aim to curb illegal immigration and bolster national security, resonating with voters concerned about sovereignty and safety. The false narrative. Democrats and the mainstream media relentlessly branded these efforts as racist and xenophobic. The travel ban was mischaracterized as a Muslim ban despite its focus on specific security threats, not religion. Border enforcement was framed as a humanitarian crisis, with little mention of the illegal crossings it sought to deter. This emotional spin drowned out the policy's intent, turning a security debate into a morality play. President Trump's second term, building on the foundation. Now, in his second term, President Trump has intensified his agenda. The Lincoln-Riley Act and mass deportation initiates. The Lincoln-Riley Act and mass deportation incentivizes. Wait a minute. What did I try to spell here? I think I meant to say mass deportation incentives, but I misspelled the heck out of this word. Reflect an even tougher stance on immigration, responding to public demand for broader control. He's also launched the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, to slash federal waste, alongside pardoning January 6 defendants. Yet the mainstream media persists in casting these as authoritarian overreaches or divisive ploys, echoing Democrat talking points. This ongoing distortion ignores President Trump's electoral mandate and the support his policies enjoy, framing governance as tyranny rather than leadership. Truth over propaganda. President Trump's record from economic revitalization to historic peace deals stands as a testament to his effectiveness. Yet it has been relentlessly clouded by Democratic and mainstream media misinformation. By twisting successes into failures, his critics have sought to rewrite history, prioritizing narratives over facts. As President Trump shapes his second term, the contrast between its achievements and the propaganda against him grows starker. It's time to peel back the layers of spin and recognize how often he's been proven right despite all the propaganda from Democrats and the mainstream media. Okay, now I guess y'all can hear it coming down in buckets outside. So I guess I'm going to go get soaking wet. Have a good one, y'all. Have a great, blessed day. Thank you to my paid subscribers. Bye.